So in preparation of our actual smudging, we've taken a couple of filters and actually sort of made the picture a little bit harder to look at. We've added in a bunch of noise. It's sort of hard of grain. Doesn't look very smooth, but that'll actually work to our advantage when we begin to smudge. So there's not a whole lot to this. It's a little time consuming, but it really is as simple as grabbing the smudge tool. I'm going to start a new layer, an actual empty layer, and I'll go ahead and I'll just name that smudge. I need to make sure that I have this button click called Sample All Layers, because right now there's nothing on my smudge layer. There's nothing to smudge. But if I click Sample All Layers, it'll actually allow me to smudge the things underneath the current layer. Make sure I'm on normal mode. I would take the strength for the most part down to about 50%, and you can experiment with the value and see how much you like it. Obviously, the stronger the percentage, the more smudging it's actually going to do. And as you go forward, you might actually sort of take it down a little bit or take it up a little bit to achieve the effect that you want. I'm going to select a brush. The rough ink one works pretty well, but something that's sort of scattered. And I'm going to zoom in. The brush should be pretty small compared to the surface that you're brushing on. That would be a good time if you haven't already to switch over to the Wacom tablet, because it's much easier to do this with a pen than it is with a mouse or any other sort of pointing device. So I'm really just going to start making these nice short strokes in the direction of the surface that I'm actually working on. So the bricks are going sort of going horizontally, and I'm just going to sort of just taking the smudge tool and smudging the colors together that gives sort of this oil painting looking effect. Then I might come over here to the window and sort of decrease the size just a little bit more. I've got to be careful that I don't sort of pull these colors over there like that. And then maybe I focus on sort of the black outlines here a little bit. And when I do, I should probably decrease my brush size even more. Of course, I'm using the bracket keys to quickly change the size of the brush. And it really just is this simple. There's plenty to do, but as I zoom out, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to see exactly what you've done, exactly what you haven't done, which is the beauty of having this extra layer. I can hide the original, and I can only see what I've smudged so far. And actually, as I move forward, it actually becomes really nice to see exactly what I've done and what I haven't done. And by the end, I can just turn the original off completely, and I have sort of what looks like a completely original oil painting. There's one more tool that you might want to use when you do some of these paintings, and that's the mixer brush tool, which is nested with the brush tools. The mixer brush tool takes a different color and sort of smudges and mixes it in along with the current colors. To make this even simpler, I'm going to go ahead and add another new layer. I'll call this mixer brush. And once again, these are the kind of settings that you're going to want to play with about how much the colors are mixing together, how much flow your brush actually has, how wet the canvas actually is. There's some presets right here. I'm going to start with sort of a moist light mix. I would make sure these two buttons are depressed, and I'd pick an interesting color like maybe a purple or an orange. Oops. And what that'll do is I can add, that's a little strong actually. Let me turn the mix up a bit. Yeah. So let me turn the mix up a little bit so they're mixing more. I'm just going to add some sort of some highlights in here, a little bit of extra color. It's a little bit less real, but I might add some depth. I might add it, make it look a little bit more like an actual painting. I might actually go ahead and add a little bit of maybe some orange. And then I can go back to my smudge layer and I can actually smudge this in with the blues of the sky for sort of just a nice sort of painterly effect. I'm going to have to sort of smudge these several times to really get them to mix. And I can go back and add more color. And of course, one of the obvious benefits of working on these extra layers is if I don't like something, say on the mixer brush layer, I can just come and erase it without affecting anything else that's going on, any of the smudging or any of the original painting itself. I can also brush and sort of pull the blues into the tan color. I can just go back and erase that. And my Photoshop seems to have stopped responding. Okay, so I'm back. And as I was saying, if I don't like what I've done, maybe I've added too much color or the color's too strong or I actually don't end up liking that particular color, I can click on the appropriate layer, grab my eraser, and I can really just get rid of anything I don't really like. Maybe I'll switch over to a normal brush for the eraser. So I can just erase the smudging that I don't like, which makes things really easy. Once again, this is called non-destructive editing. I still have everything that I have underneath, and I haven't really made any sort of irrevocable changes.